everyone, and welcome to Raising Vibrations. This is Simon. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you the full moon in Cancer report that happened on the 25th of December 2015. And I'm also adding alongside this full moon report some bonus material that I think is important regarding where we are today in context to when this full moon took place. And obviously, as you can see on the bottom over here, it's the New Year's resolutions and setting direction. So some of the stuff that I wanted to share with you regarding why I'm doing this at this point in time is because, number one, I felt that this full moon in Cancer was an incredibly powerful experience for all of us. I feel that the nature of where the full moon was, i.e. Cancer, has got a lot of significance to the overall transition of Pluto through Capricorn. And to, in some way, shape or form, give us a sense of like realistic, practical understanding regarding what it means to take a higher understanding, what it means to live through and experience life on Earth, but also at the same time to, I would say, like incarnate or bring to the table the meanings of these symbols, okay? And the reason why I'm feeling really compelled to share this is because at the moment, and especially up until now, many of us have been listening to higher consciousness, been experiencing shifts, etc. And most of that higher consciousness shifting has actually occurred not because we chose it, but because it happened to us due to transits that awoke us, and then now we're dealing with or responding to the situation. So I would probably say that the response ability is what this full moon in Cancer is about. And of course, the other symbols that are taking place at this stage, them being in Capricorn, okay? So a lot that I would like to cover in this discussion. So what I would recommend to fully take advantage and engage in what I'm going to be sharing with you today, I think that you need to be firstly preparing for this video in a sense where you've got some time to absorb a lot of what I'm going to share, and also for you to be able to allow yourself to have as minimal distractions as possible. This ability to not only take advantage of your time listening to me share this information, but it also makes me feel like a part of what I'm doing over here is actually being absorbed in some way, shape, or form, and that you yourself are respecting your own time. Because that's something that I, for myself, feel incredibly responsible for, is that as I share this material with you guys, it's one where I'm going, I need to make a difference, and it's my responsibility to put this across in a way that shifts your vibration, shifts your energetic perspective on things, but also at the same time empowers you, like to the nth degree. Like that would be probably the bottom line here, is the empowerment process, because I'm done with oppressive, suppressive consciousness on the planet. So this needs to happen in a way where we are taking full advantage of the time that we have, okay? So I hope that point is really sort of loudly made in that sense. Okay, I'm going to backtrack here a little bit and say that the reason why the full moon in Cancer report is a little bit late and that I'm doing this right now is because I did not have the capacity to do this report in the way that I would like to do it. So therefore, a lot of the content wasn't really crystal clear to me. I needed a lot more reflection. I needed a lot more groundedness in what I wanted to say, what was highlightable points, etc. And secondly, due to the Christmas and sort of New Year period, most of my time was taken and evolved in those type of activities, although a part of me doesn't really sort of like subscribe to it as we have been led to subscribe to it. So the consumerism aspect of it that part of it can essentially wasn't non-existent for me, and a large part of the time was probably having to facilitate the social expectations of it rather than the actual event itself. And then lastly, which I'll be doing a video on personally on my own personal stuff regarding the rebirth that I recently just had, within my own sense of consciousness, and of course that absorbed in tons and tons of time. But I'm here, I'm recovering really, really well from a complete energetic vibrational shift. And so I should be full cylinders by maybe the middle of January, where I'm just rocking out tons and tons of content for everybody. Okay, so I'm a little bit sick at this point in time, or should I say, shifting old energy out of me. All right, so let's do this. Full Moon in Cancer report, 25th of December 2015 was when it was had, plus bonus material, New Year's resolutions and setting direction. This was the chart of the full moon, and as you can see over here, highlighted quite intensely was the moon itself having quite a lot of aspects made to it. There you can see it was in Cancer, and at 7 degrees, which is obviously in this particular instance would have been opposed the Sun, and it's got a quincunx to Saturn. It has a biquintile to Venus, opposition to the Sun, of course, opposition to Pluto, and there's a trine happening to Neptune in Pisces. Okay, now the first layer that I want to bring out for us in terms of this conversation is that we always need to take into context the larger cycles that are occurring, so that the smaller cycles or the more inner planets, like for instance Mars, Venus, etc., can have a sense of context to it. So the whole entire story has been obviously the transition of Pluto moving through Capricorn, which we can see has been this angle over here. Okay, and this is since 2008, right? This point over here has been since 2008. And up to 14 degrees, this is where most of us have been experiencing the kind of deconstruction of reality. And I've written about this in many articles, and I've amplified the story here that the Pluto through Capricorn experience has been the collapse of the biosphere. Okay, the biosphere is the nature of our ecosystem. It's the nature of how we act and respond to reality, how we condition ourselves, and overall the general sort of consensual reality in which we exist within. Pluto splits matter, and so of course as it moves through that, it collapses the biosphere. You can see it in your life simply as things like educational systems having a revamp within what is important, what is not important, due to generations that are coming into the schooling system that are non-compliant, as it were. That's an example. You can look at businesses that have closed down, and especially in the UK, when I was living there, especially in 2008, you'd notice that there were quite a lot of shops that were just closing down simply. You can see it all over. But in context to where Pluto is at this moment in time, it's a big deal because, between the 14 degrees that it's at right now and the 10 degrees there, which what it was last year, November, if I'm not mistaken, well, 2014's November, this period has been here, this period of here has been about the recognition that we have in some way, shape or form dissolved, fractured, broken down the construction, or the old structures. Those have come down. We've awoken to experiences. And so in your own life, this is important, because if you have reconnected with a shape or a space within your life that has changed for you dramatically, whether it be your relationship to your parents, whether it be your relationship to everything in your life for that matter, this period of time right now has been, how do I make the transition from everything that's crumbled, everything that's changed, to something that feels more solid again, and that I can actually incubate myself in? Okay, so that question. The way that we come to answer that question, firstly, is that Uranus in Aries. Okay, So this has all got the context of the moon in Pisces. I mean, pardon me, the moon in Cancer, guys. So, you know, bear with me as I layer this for us. Uranus in Aries would be the trigger point, activating our sense of need for a new direction, and one that has never been explored before. Okay, so some work that I'm currently doing at this point in time that I'm going to be bringing through to you guys is the realization that we have the matriarchy, we have the patriarchy, or if we have masculine energy and we have feminine energy, we can't use those energies of the past singularly. They must be integrated holistically at this point in time. I.e., reality can't operate unless it has the balanced masculine and feminine operating simultaneously in this higher vibration. In what Uranus in Aries is doing in contrast to those the 4 degrees was that 2015 has been immensely about creative self-actualization, finding out and restarting the heart, recognizing what it means to operate from an essential self-realization and self-confidence perspective, a new coat, as it were, over ourselves. And now we've reached a point at Pluto at 14 degrees saying, okay, we're done with that stuff now. Now it's time to actually build in accordance with the new higher consciousness that we've received. So the Pisces, Venus, Moon, water trine is saying to us that there is a now deep, deep need for a integration of new direction, deep integration of new dreams, new aspirations, new self-identities, new ways of being, etc., etc. Okay, and Neptune will be revealing to us this desire for aligning one's self-identity with a higher meaning. Okay, so Neptune is the higher meaning, self-identity is Cancer. Okay, the experiences that Venus has been bringing to us as it's been moving through Scorpio has been solidifying the Saturn in Scorpio experience that it was taking place since 2012 to 2015, okay, or the end of 2014, should I say, and then a little bit in 2015, which was the final clearance of all of the energetic debris that we carry with us, the shadow self, the lies, the dishonesty, the emotional trusts, etc., that we attach to the external world, but also that we have within ourselves. And that's a very deep statement to make. So the Venus moving through Scorpio archetype itself has been really allowing us over the last month and a half to prepare us for that final shift, which I believe is occurring for us right now. Okay, between the 28th and 29th of let me get this straight, 28th to around about the 4th of January, okay? Because at this point in time, as I'm recording this, Venus is actually at 3 degrees Sag, okay? And also the moon will be conjuncting Pluto, squaring Uranus, which tells us straight away that there's that deep insight, that deep final release, that deep letting go process and opening up one's energetic frequencies to deeper truths that now allow us to operate from that place totally. So the context of this full moon in relationship to the sun is one of mass ego identity shift, mass energetic clearance, but at the same time, integration, okay? Integration. So why integration? Integration for the following reasons, and this is what I'm going to amplify in the next slide regarding the moon in Cancer and what it's actually symbolizing for us, is this. And maybe I'll just stop there for a second and hold that space. We'll come back to that question and answering that. But I would like to add the Pluto and Mars square that has been applying itself for quite some time, at least over the last maybe a week prior to this, week and a half prior to this full moon. So with Mars in Libra, Mars is pushing through the new social interactions in relationship to what? The relationship to the new definitions that have occurred through the last 3.5 years of shifting. Okay, So it's new social ideas, new social norms being integrated into the world, and what that is now then doing in terms of the transmutation of the Pluto through Capricorn, which is the transmutation of the biosphere, the new integration of the biosphere, as it were. Okay? So that square in itself has just been allowing us to align those new identities, new egocentric structures in alignment with that biosphere and with alignment with the construction of reality, in alignment with the new definitions in which we perceive ourselves as human beings. Okay? Then you have this opposition that's taking place with Jupiter conjunct the North Node, and of course Jupiter also opposing Chiron. And this has been a very big thing because obviously at this point in time, Jupiter opposed Chiron is bringing a deep sense of change to the situation. You know, the nodes are now in an immutable cross, okay? The nodes are now activated through Virgo Pisces, which is transitioning archetypes. So initially, and then of course Saturn being in Sag as well, and I've spoken about this, we're culminating that stuff. This is what Mars and Venus is doing. Mars and Venus is going, okay, we're done with the sort of like Grand Cross in 2013. We're done with the Saturn in Scorpio transit. We're finished with the deconstruction process. Now it's time to play, guys. Let's go research. Let's go expand. Let's be boundless in our expression. So Mars, Jupiter in Virgo, North Node in Virgo, and of course everything in Pisces is going, okay, well, this is absolutely natural for us to start making transitionary archetypes, expansionary archetypes, okay? And so this is what we're feeling, this kind of currental energy of completion and expansion, completion and expansion, completion and expansion, closure and new moving, closure and new moving, as it were, okay? So what's significant about the full moon again is obviously, if you can see, it's making quite a lot of strong aspects. That day was about a lot of energetic shift regarding being integrated into the old, noticing that the old doesn't work anymore, realizing the old doesn't work anymore, and then readjusting in accordance with new laws, new transitions, new identities, new ways of doing stuff. Okay, so does this make sense? Okay, so if we go to the next slide, we erase this over here, and we now come back to the original thing that I was talking about, which was the question about how to integrate and why. Okay, so step one, okay, my little funny drawings. So here's the tree, okay, the bark, as it were. Okay, here's a tree, here's the what I'm looking for, the trunk of the tree, and of course the expansion. Now, the trunk of the tree has and always will be this very sort of structured, strong, stable, solidified aspect of life. It can be considered to be the spine, okay? Always make the association, the tree of life, okay? There's a reason for it being the way that it is. The roots represent what you are invested in, the nourishment, okay? The trunk represents the connection towards inspiration, towards excitement, towards the experience of growth. It's reaching higher. All these little handprints in themselves represent the budding of the trees. Now, in terms of astrology, the mutable cross, Virgo, Gemini, Pisces, Sagittarius, can be perceived as these little fingerprints, okay, and handprints. Why? Because they are expanding consciousness. They are the blossoming of new experiences and infinite possibilities that we can evolve through, that in return for our time, we get wisdom. Okay, Saturn, Neptune. Okay, so we dream up something, we experience it, it then culminates, we get the wisdom out of the experience, we expand our consciousness, we do it all over again. And that is why the tree or the body itself represents the expansion of consciousness, which is why if you ever look at the Buddha or the Christ, there's that halo around it representing consciousness, but in a sense, really, it's just about the illumination through experiences and wisdom. You know, you can even take it as the Vesica Pisces, the third eye. Experience comes through the Trinity, the water trine, the fire trine, the air trine, etc. So we are looking at firstly understanding the structure of reality, giving us the capacity to expand our consciousness. And so Pluto through Capricorn is saying, hey, we're reconstructing our trunk so that what we stand for becomes the filter, becomes the experience of what we have come to grow and understand about ourselves, to expand upon ourselves. So Raising Vibrations comes out and it goes, hey guys, this is what I do, this is the structure of the place, etc. And then as I start to, do the expanding archetypal structures and I bring in ideas and I share the videos with you guys, just as you're doing it right now, you experience it off me, it gives me feedback, and I consistently keep doing that. And the more I do this, the more I expand my consciousness. So the next thing that I want to then bring to the situation is that when we look at this picture, it represents many different dimensions of reality, okay? And a part of this experience, the dimensions of reality, different people's handprints and their perspectives and their truths, Sagittarius, etc., etc. But in relationship to the full moon, this also talks about the need for us at this point in time to realize that as we reconstruct the biosphere, now you must remember, in order for you to reconstruct the biosphere externally, you need to have created it within yourself first. So at the moment, I have put out a call for leaders of the new paradigm. Now, for anybody that has actually responded back to me thinking this is a great idea and you want to be a part of it, this community project will be taking off in this year sometime, okay? And it's allowing different people's perspectives and interests and so on and so forth to be validated so that we can see more of the spectrum of light. So essentially, it's a community. And Cancer, the archetype of Cancer is so much about community. It's so much about nurture and protection and root foundation. And what this full moon is bringing to us is the realization that if we are to, as a human race or as a collective sort of bunch of people, if we're able to have expansion of the consciousness of our community occur, then we need to be able to, in some way, shape, or form, recognize the essential archetype that is holding that together, that supports that. Now, to me, what I'm sharing with you right now is not a revelation. It's not like, oh my God, this is new. I don't personally believe it. In fact, part of me feels that this is probably obvious to everybody. And so therefore, I'm just sharing stuff that's commonly understood. But from my perspective, I feel it's important because if you are to establish yourself, if you are to reconstruct yourself, if you are to bring yourself out into the world, how does your own ecosystem work? How does your own community within yourself work? And then from that point of view, actually then integrate that consciousness into many people, okay? As in multiple amounts of people that need to do the same thing. So how do you then create the framework for us to be able to have new ideas grow? And this is really what I'm trying to get to over here, is that the water trine and all the water elements, and of course the Cancer itself, is we need to cultivate and grow new ideas. We need to nurture and protect and guide new ideas into the world in order for them to be expanding, growing, and expand our consciousness. And so a lot of the war on consciousness at this point in time is to stop that from happening by doing many, many things, okay? But the idea here is that if you are looking to expand your idea, the fundamental archetype is, do you know how to nurture? Do you know how to guide? Do you know how to interact and interface those ideas with other people and impregnate them to a certain degree so that the expansion of your own ideas and these perspectives can be experienced? How do you go about doing that? Where's the research necessary for you to establish what is essential in your environment? And how does that then at the same time allow you to watch and observe your own natural self in contrast to this idea in relationship to this idea of community? Okay. Now, for many of us, and for me, if I just talk from my own general perspective, as I share this with the sort of YouTube community, obviously I fall under the category of astrology. So my contribution that I would like to integrate into the astrological community on YouTube is to be able to see the archetypes from a self-empowerment way, over and above maybe what is just generally what's happening for us in the skies. Okay. And so by taking that approach, it gives us, or it feels like I can, in my Pluto 10th house polarity point, which is the 4th house, Cancer, is to build a community of souls that are able to rise above the circumstances of their lives, recognize that victimization is only something that is here to disempower you, and that you can grow through that process by understanding the fundamental elements of this place that we live within. So if we are to change the world, if you are to change your world, your biosphere, your environment, you've got to recognize that starting and building and us building communities is where it's at, essentially. Okay? And this is why I say this again. Okay? There is Pluto in Capricorn, Sun in Capricorn, guiding community, taking responsibility, growing up, etc. You know, not being the child anymore in that sense, or having other people facilitate your needs. You can then be able to establish your own and take responsibility. But then there's also this slide over here. Okay, this is the planetary south nodes of all the archetypes, now all the major planets that I was speaking about. Okay, and you've heard me speak about the south node of Uranus being in Sagittarius. There will be a video on that as well. But look at where the north node of Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter is. The evolutionary intention of our planet is at Cancer. Pluto, Cancer. So as Pluto is now situated here, transiting Pluto, as you can see, I've got the chart over here. This is the chart of the 1st of February, the 1st of January, which is where we are today on this recording. Look where the sun is. Balsamic phase to Pluto, or it's moving into the Pluto archetype until it will make a new conjunction to it. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that this essential polarity point, this essential communication, this new moon that took place for us in Cancer over here is big because it is on the planetary south nodes and north nodes of our collective evolution. So in order for us to be able to create something from a collapsed biosphere, we need to recognize that everything needs to come from the grassroots up. We know this. If you look at any sporting, let's look at like people that live in America, for instance, okay? In the UK, as an example, and maybe in Australia. So Australia, football, rugby, okay? Look at how there are schools that train people, then there are colleges that train, and then eventually you have different layers and tiers to get up to the national team, okay? Grassroots. It's called grassroots, right? Same with any football team in the UK. The top teams have got training academies, etc., that train superstars to come up into the major teams in order for them to be able to have talent. Okay, they need to grow them from the grassroots up. Same with all events that are in the States, you know, American football, etc. That people don't just arrive out of nowhere. You know, there are training academies and so on and so forth that occur that allow people to be cultivated and grown into positions that then can be used in national teams, as it were. So the same concept is applied there. There's no difference towards a community of astrologers that are looking to expand the nature of how this operates, and then a leader coming up and saying, hey guys, I want to do this over here. I take responsibility for the community. This is how I'd build this over here. And everybody that's wanting to interact, you know, you participate and you share your wisdom, you share your knowledge, and we expand the nature of this biosphere. We regrow it. And this is what we need on the planet today. This is the most fundamental and important aspect of this time frame, is the reconstruction of the communities that we are integrating and being a part of, so that we can then grow and have support around us, so that we can then have the capacity to grow as infinitely and boundlessly as possible, while other people are saying, hey guys, okay, I'll support this over here. So you guys support me by allowing me to do these videos, and you give me comments, etc., etc. Some of you guys purchase videos, and readings and such, and you support this little thing that allows me to then bring to the community. So you even doing that to a certain degree by that is ready. Do you understand what I'm trying to say here? So this is a big deal. Now, if you want to take this one step further and say, how do I do this for the community that's in my environment, my local community, right? This is where it starts. So if you've got a bright idea and you're a writer and you want to do this, you've got to get into the community. You've got to be able to participate in the community and allow for yourself to be seen so that you can then be supporting of other people, making connections, etc., but allowing yourself to then integrate this new higher perspective that you've just accumulated over the last, 3 or 4 years into a new way so that we regrow the biosphere that has collapsed just recently. Now, at the moment, and this is what will be amplified a lot more in Uranus and South Node video, and the Saturn and Sagittarius video that's coming up, episode 2 of that, is what has been implemented in order for us to stop that from happening. Okay? And that's a big deal. A lot of the current evolution on the planet at this stage is to stop that from happening. It's fracturing communities. It's causing people to have issues regarding our capacity to feel friends within each other. There's racism and so on and so forth. Fireworks over here. All right. So how to build a community. Turn off your TV, greet people, look up where you're walking, leave your house, sit on your stoop, plant flowers, ask for help when you need it, etc. I mean, all these amazing things. You guys can pause this video and offer this type of, just anything that you find important over here. But meditate on community, research community. What can you offer the community in that sense as well, okay? Big deal with this new moon, this full moon that took place. The second thing that I wanted to add to the situation, which was integration, and this was the birthing process, was the realization of a shift from understanding that we, the human being over here, okay, is essentially definitionless. Neptune square Saturn. However, at the moment, all of these words, these social expectations and so on and so forth that we carry around us can't allow us to act instinctually. This is why in one of the videos I created called Mars, the Primal Brain, we act instinctually in accordance with who we naturally are in order for our evolution to work. But when we have all these social expectations and definitions around us, then what happens is that we get cocooned into and suppressed, and therefore anger comes out of it because we're trying to, we're stuck, we're suffocating, right? Imagine if you were suffocating. Would you just sit there and go, yeah, this is cool? Or would you kick and fight back? So anger comes from the suffocation based on social expectations that are placed on us. Then we're trying to act instinctually in accordance with that, then can't be actively expressed in healthy ways, as an example. And we stop that from occurring in our lives because we use many forms of distractions for us to not focus on that stuff. So this picture here I felt was really important because we're literally rebirthing ourselves. We're literally creating a whole new self-identity that has never ever been explored before. So I'm asking you, what type of wording do you put around yourself that gives you the capacity to grow or to die?